Luin let out a sigh. As he wondered what the hell is that. He had no idea on what's happening. He heard the figure before him say, Del. Eventually, he figured out that the figure actually called his name. He was surprised. Then he slowly opened his eyes. Before him is Helen, the high-class healing magician. She asked if he feels better now. He was surprised. He immediately moved to get up, but Helen stopped him. He asked where he is and Helen replied that he's in the recovery room. Helen urged him to keep lying down. Luin replied that he was just a little dizzy but he could sit down. He wondered if he passed out. He recalled what he saw earlier. He wondered what it was, especially because it was so vivid. He asked Helen how long he had been out. Helen replied that it was almost the whole day. Helen told him that it's fortunate that it wasn't worse and God still helped him. He asked Helen if he's alright now. Helen explained that they still have to check further, but so far, Luin looked good for someone who was directly hit by a lightning bolt. She told him that he had no wound, burn, or not even a damaged organ. She had never seen anything like that. Even Luin wondered how that was even possible. Lightning bolt is a scary magic that burns the entire body in a second. What's more, he took a direct blow. So, it's a mystery as to how he is totally fine. Someone entered the room. Helen told Luin that since the professor is there, she'll leave so she can look further into the results. She told him to call her at once when something goes weird. Heidel asked him how he was feeling. He replied that he's alright. Heidel commented that it was good to know. He informed Luin that there was a professor meeting about that incident. He then mentioned that Folt would be expelled because of use of offensive magic with strong intent to kill and spreading false rumors about the Ardell family head. And for the unfair treatment and bullying towards Luin. All those acts lead to the verdict. Luin replied that he also hit Ben. Heidel responded that there will be a punishment for him as well. Considering those facts, he will be doing the Academy's volunteer service for 1 month. Luin accepted that without any protests. Heidel asked him about something. He asked if Luin had the artifact. Luin was confused and then he replied no, since if he had that he wouldn't have been bullied like that. Heidel replied that judging by the artifact's worth and how rare it is, the family head of Ardell would have used it for his people already. Luin was curious as to why. Heidel asked him that. Heidel stared at him. In his head he recalled how a red light shrouded Luin's body before the lightning bolt touched Luin. To Heidel, it seemed like a high-grade artifact was protecting Luin, which bounced off Ben's magic. Luin asked what Heidel was talking about. Then he realized that it could be related to the dream that he had. He doubted that thought. Then he replied to Heidel that he doesn't understand what happened, but he's certain that he doesn't have an artifact. Heidel urged Luin to take more rest. In Luin's head, he told the professor the truth that he had no idea what happened, but the professor didn't say anything more. That made Luin curious as to what the professor was thinking. Luin kept thinking about the experience that he had that can't be differentiated from a dream, and that strange voice too. He remembered that he was told about an artifact, Draka, the destroyer of the world, and player. He's trying to think of one more thing. Then he recalled it was the status window. Upon saying that, it actually appeared in front of him. He was really surprised, and that made him scurry away from it. He couldn't believe that it was real. Helen approached him to check if he's all right. She thought that he's feeling unwell. But Luin pointed to the screen in front of him and inquired if she could see that too. He described the blue thing in front of him. Helen was confused since there is nothing there. She asked again if he's all right. He was nervous that she couldn't see it. The blue screen displayed his name, and underneath that his description of being the incarnation of Draka, the destroyer of the world. Then it described player, an artifact of Draka that can summon the status window and limitlessly increase one's power through quests. His strength is 150 pp, agility is 100, and wisdom is 1550. Luin then understood that this screen is only seen by him. He realized Helen was still there. So he decided to make an excuse first. He told her that he must have been mistaken. Helen gave a small laugh and told him that it wasn't funny. Helen told him that the result is perfectly normal. And that he can go back to his dorms now. Our MC thanked Helen. Luin looked back on the event that he's perfectly normal even after getting hit by a lightning bolt. Then the statement that he is the incarnation of Draka, the destroyer of the world, echoed in his head. He also remembered the man with red eyes that he met in outer space, and now he has a status window that is only visible to him. He entertained the idea that the artifact of the magician called Draka was transferred to him. Later that night, outside the training area, another weird window showed up in front of him. He was confused on what quest meant. The blue screen displayed the repeatable quest. His punch, kick, and spin kick are at 0/100. He received a reward strength pleasant 10 and skills unlocked. He thought of how punching and kicking is all related to strength. He wondered, how is that going to help a magician like him? But he acknowledges that this isn't the time to be suspicious. He decided to try it first. He threw a punch, and the counter moved to 1/100. Then he punched again. It is now 2/100. That made him smile since the number is increasing. He thought that at that rate, he's soon going to reach the goal. He looked at the screen and noticed that it didn't increase. That made him conclude that it isn't considered a success with even a slight mistake. He was pumped up to do it properly. The night had grown even deeper. Luin was breathing heavily. He seemed exhausted, but he was happy that he's done. The status window appeared, and it showed that the quest had been completed. He received plus 110 strength and skills has been unlocked. He got curious about these rewards. Then he noticed something. He felt a strange sensation. It was faintly coursing through his blood vessels. He noticed that it's something more fundamental than mana. That feeling made him certain that he got stronger. He wanted to check it out. He delivered a powerful blow. Luin was delighted. The strength that goes into the magic has gotten way stronger. The speed, air resistance, and destructive power, everything had definitely changed from before. He recognized that his fundamental strength has really gotten stronger. Then he got curious on what the other reward called skill unlock is. He commanded the status window to appear. It displayed details about Force Circle, a passive skill that replaces mana with strength. Mana circles will be replaced by force circles, and from then on, all magic will be affected by the player's strength. Replacing mana circles with force circles are new to him. He wondered if that meant that his mana will be replaced by his strength. All those who feel and study mana have a circle around the heart. The mana circle plays an important role in releasing and strengthening mana, increasing in number depending on the depth of mana and the amount of mana the magician can control. Luin had 4 mana circles. It's way more than other kids of his age have. But because of his disability, it was like having none. Luin was surprised. The mana circle really disappeared. Then he realized that the strength that's revolving crazily in its stead is the force circles, a force circle instead of a mana circle. There can be no magician without a mana circle. He pondered about what would happen to him in relation to the new circle that can't do what the mana circle can. He was sad at the idea that his life as a magician would end like that. But Luin was resilient. He thought to himself that it's too early to feel down. He wanted to test it first. He made a fireball. He was taken aback how fast it happened. In addition to that, it's strong too. The moment he saw the size of his fireball, he realized something, that it was the power of an artifact. Because magic has a basic actuation principle, it takes about 10 seconds before the magic is released. But to be able to freely skip this step and create a fireball just with the power within his body, that is the power of an artifact. Then something caught Luin's attention. The blue screen displayed about the Magician of Madness. It is a method of magic designed by Draka, who had trouble releasing mana. Luin can attack enemies by loading magic into his body. And he can attack enemies by imbuing magic into his body. He is not affected by magic cast on him and his strength is added to magic attack. Also his magic damage will also deal additional physical damage. Luin wondered how he would load magic into his body to attack. He wondered if by any chance that guy named Draka had a similar evocation disorder like him and fought by imbuing himself with magic in his fists and legs. It made Luin curious on how the hell Draka was able to come up with something like that. Then a new quest appeared. The blue screen displayed a quest stating the demonstration of the method. Luin was tasked to use the force circle and strength to hit a physical target. After he read that, he stared at the practice target in front of him. He never thought of that method at all. He entertained the idea of becoming a magician with that method. Our MC tried it out and he released the fireball towards the target. He punched the target with his flame-covered fist. He was pleased that it worked. He had completed the quest and as a reward he had acquired plus 110 strength. He was exhausted and he fell on his butt and he went to lay down on the ground. He was glad that he did it and the quest is finally over. He recalled how he failed at the stage of discharging magic every time but he finally succeeded with his fist. It made him wonder what kind of person is Draka to be able to come up with this method. Luin wanted to look into it but his body felt heavy. Then he heard someone speak about him sleeping in that area. That person assumed that Luin was training until dawn. They wondered if they should wake up Luin. It was already morning and Luin was still sleeping on the ground. It made the person who saw him wonder if he's dead. But the other person argued that it's impossible since Luin had been fine even after being directly hit by lightning. Luin slowly starts to wake up because of the noise. There was a crowd surrounding him and they were all surprised when he suddenly got up. He yawned and acted casual when he asked why everyone was there. To everyone's surprise Luin asked them if it's their first time seeing someone sleep outdoors. One student replied that in fact that's really the case, especially that a nobleman who slept outside and abandoned the comfort of nice dorms. This student asked if Luin drank or something. Luin replied, "Drink my ass," and he explained that he was just exhausted when he fell asleep. They were all surprised at how Luin behaved. They felt that he had changed. Then one student noticed the broken scarecrow. Only fragments with ashes are left and they wondered if Luin was the one who did that. But they thought it was impossible. At the academy dorms Luin was greeted by his roommate. A blonde man with red eyes named Jason Damon, who is at 6th year on Ignit Academy. He was brushing his teeth when he asked Luin if he stayed outside and is only coming back now. Jason was curious since Luin doesn't usually leave the academy. Luin told him that he doesn't have to know. Jason is the eldest son of the Damon family, famous for casting and mining metals. And to Luin, who was treated like a loser in the academy, Jason treated him nicely. Jason teased him by asking if he met with a girl and stayed out all night. Luin described Jason as a lunatic, crazy about alcohol and girls, and often leaves the academy secretly. Jason had a friendly vibe to him when he called Luin a brat and teased him if he finally got himself together after being hit by lightning. He asked Luin to tell him in detail. Luin playfully throws his dirty clothes on Jason while he lets him know that he's about to go wash up. Luin felt good getting in the tub. He remembered to check the additional quest. He uttered the word quest. The blue window appeared and displayed a repeatable quest called body training. It's basically the same of the previous window, except the number of times he needed to perform the actions were now doubled. Luin noticed that the rewards remained the same, but the amount of training had increased twofold. He wondered if it will keep increasing twofold in the future. Just as he expected, it wasn't easy. But he did not lose spirit since it will help him become a magician. He slowly got submerged in the tub. 1 month has passed since then. He trained hard since the repeatable quest could be completed once a day. But contrary to the fixed rewards, the required training was increasing day by day. If a day passed without fully completing the quest, all his progress was reset to 0. So he made sure not to miss a single day. He thought of one good thing about it, which is the requirement of not going above 3,000 times each. He knew that if he did any more than that, he would have died from doing quests. He continued to train. The blue window appeared. Now his punch is at 3,000 over 3,000, which has been tagged as completed. It was the same for the kick and spin kick too. And since he had completed the quest, he got the reward of strength plus 10. He trained every day for the past month like that. And he even gained a new skill. It's a passive skill called body arts, which increases the abilities of the body. And the stronger and more elaborate movements become possible depending on his training level. It was a bright sunny day at the academy. Students were gossiping how Luin seemed strange lately. It's because Luin was someone who used to know. Other students also noticed how Luin practically lives in the training hall all day. And he was only seen practicing kicking. One student told them off to leave Luin alone since it wasn't his first time acting strange. This student assumed that Luin must be trying to overcome his disorder, but he believed that it wouldn't work anyway. And just like that, for the past month, Luin has been completing the quests. He also chased after any clues about Draka. But he couldn't find any magician named Draka in any history records. Not only that, World Destroyer player, status window. He couldn't find even a clue to any of those either. He kept wondering on who is truly Draka. He opened his status window, and it displayed his strength at 470, agility 100, wisdom 1550. As he stared at it, he kept wondering about the person who gave him that power. Someone called out to him. It was Jason, and he had news for Luin. Luin doesn't have any idea on what's happening. So Jason commented on why Luin was just there leisurely reading books. Luin asked if something big happened. Jason told him that the Ardell family head is there. Luin was confused. So Jason rephrased it and said that Luin's father is there. That made Luin rush towards his father. He immediately caught his father's attention. His father was delighted to see him. They settled on a room to converse. Luin stated that it has been 6 years since he was admitted to the academy since he was 10. He asked if his father had been well all that time. His father replied that he had always been well. Luin asked about Luina, his little sister. His father informed him that his sister is all grown up now, and she's been learning swordsmanship. She said that it was to protect her weak older brother. Luin expressed that he's embarrassed. His father commented that Luina had always been a bold one. Luin called out to his father to say that he's doing well. His father asked what he meant. Luin explained that he's doing fine and he's not hurt physically or emotionally. His father remained silent by taking a sip of tea. Then his father informed him the reason for his visit at the academy. It was to ask Luin if he wanted to quit the academy. He told Luin that if it's hard for him, he may return to their territory. He knew that his son had forcefully endured a lot of difficulties and things that he couldn't say. Luin admitted that he knew why his father went to the academy after 6 years. But he told his father that he had found a way now. He asked his father to make a promise with him. His father was curious about it. Luin told him that on his next test he'll give a good result for the practical. With a serious expression, Luin told his father that in return, if he fails this time, he will do what his father wants.